The Isle of Armor DLC has been out for about 2 weeks now. I think it's time for another rant video. Let's do it.
Butterfree, go!
Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy Dan, aka aDrive. I bring you guys a brand new video today, and today we are breaking down the top 10 worst things about the Isle of Armor DLC. I did a rant video last week and you guys seemed to love it, and I thought it'd be great to let off some steam and let you guys know what I'm thinking about the Isle of Armor DLC, which of course is bundled with the Crown Tundra for $30 to get both DLCs. Is it worth it? Well, we're gonna talk about the things that really kind of grind my gears in this video, and feel free to use the comment section below as a way to let off some steam yourself. Like the video, subscribe if you guys are new, get those notifications turned on. You do not want to miss our next video on this channel. We've got some bangers coming out, but I got some really hard-hitting facts for you guys today, so let's not waste any time. The first thing that really frustrates me about the Isle of Armor is that you get this beautiful brand new legendary Pokemon Kubfu to start off your journey. Now we know Kubfu has a shiny form, as does Urshifu and all the other legendaries that are in the game, but can you shiny hunt it? No. Why is that? I have no idea. Game Freak historically has continuously shiny locked various legendary Pokemon and mythical Pokemon so they could do some really stupid GameStop distributions in the future, but rather than just letting us hunt this Pokemon when we start our adventure, they decide to put it behind some sort of future event that may or may not actually come at all, and it's really annoying as a shiny hunter that I don't get the opportunity to do my Isle of Armor playthrough with a shiny Kubfu. Is it that big of a deal? Not really. But is it annoying? Heck yeah, it is. I was incredibly pleased to see that the Isle of Armor added followed Pokemon again. That was an amazing feature from the Heart Gold Soul Silver series, and it came back in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and I think people just love it. It's one of the most simple features that Pokemon games have offered over the last decade, and it's just one of the most endearing. Something about seeing your Pokemon following you kind of brings back those memories of Ash and Pikachu, and how Pikachu used to ride outside the Pokeball on Ash's shoulder and kind of follow him behind. But it was poorly implemented because the Pokemon can't even keep up. There's a few that can, but most of those Pokemon simply lag behind or end up popping back in and popping back out, and it's really kind of a busted feature, especially when you integrate the new bikes that they added, which look pretty cool by the way, but the fact of it is, you can't actually ride the bike and have your Pokemon follow you. What's the point of that feature if they can't even keep up? Talk about poorly implemented. One of the most heavily advertised features of the Isle of Armor was the Cram Omatic machine. You guys have already heard me rant about it, but it's so incredibly frustrating that they brought apricorns back through these berry trees. We can actually get apricorns, we can get apricorn balls, and I was so stoked that we'd be able to get Kurt or his granddaughter to make us really cool Pokeballs like Safari Balls, Sport Balls, Love Balls, and Moon Balls. But no, you have to have a 0.1% chance to get some of these rare Pokeballs on just a random whim, because this Cram Omatic is actually a scam-o-matic. It is such a waste of time. There's no reason for you to actually shake those berry trees because the chance of actually getting one of these Pokeballs is so minuscule. Now, I will say, it does seem as though there's some text and dialogue that indicates that it'll be updated for the Crown Tundra, but why give us this garbage feature in the first place when it doesn't even work now? Now, I'll be honest, I went into the Isle of Armor not expecting much out of the storyline. I was expecting 2 to 4 hours of gameplay experience where I'd have my Kubfu that can't be shiny, and I would travel through one of the 2 towers of mastery to ultimately evolve it into Urshifu, and maybe there would be some fun little quest lines along the way. However, I was very much so disappointed that that 2 to 4 hours of gameplay was actually me just not even paying any attention and button mashing through these really mediocre battles against a bunch of fighting type and water type Pokemon that didn't have any sort of relevance or any sort of difficulty challenge at all. Mustard wasn't that good, and neither was our rival Avery or Clara. They in fact were just plain annoying, to be honest, and I found the story to be quite disappointing and a bit soulless, if I'm being honest. Now, I'm not one of those people who plays Pokemon exclusively for the story, and I realized that the story is going to appeal to people in different ways, but I really was ultimately disappointed with the Isle of Armor storyline. I'm not saying it's the worst thing ever. I'm just simply saying that you get this Kubfu, you beat a few battles, it evolves to Urshifu, and that's really it. There's just no heart to it, and again, the new characters just seem to be a bit soulless. They didn't really have a lot going for them. In fact, they were quite annoying when all was said and done. I will say Mustard was a bit of a surprise. I thought it was quite cool when he finally took off his robe and he goes all Kung Fu style on you to try to beat you, but again, those battles were just so disappointing. I didn't find them to be a challenge at all, But I can also understand that they needed to be scaled for every single player that was going to play the Isle of Armor, as it is accessible as soon as you get to the wild area. And that brings me to my next point, and maybe I don't really have grounds to complain here, but I was pretty disappointed in the fact that level scaling that we were promised basically didn't exist at all. For some reason, when all the reviews came out right before the Isle of Armor dropped, a lot of reporters were reporting on level scaling, saying the Isle of Armor scales to your levels, it's incredible, you're going to be able to bring whatever Pokemon you want, and the trainers and battles will scale to your level. But that was a bunch of hoopla because it never actually happened. Yeah, there is some level scaling based on how many badges you have in the game, but it's so insignificant and so busted that it really doesn't make a ton of sense. I was hoping that this level scaling feature was going to be an opportunity for Pokemon and Game Freak to test this feature for future Pokemon games, as I think we all would love to see an open world style Pokemon game, much like Skyrim is, where the different areas that you go to are scaled based on your character's level as opposed to some other factors. But in this Isle of Armor DLC, that simply just was not the case. The difficulty was not there at all for anyone who has actually completed the game, who has tons and tons of level 100 Pokemon. It simply was not there, and that made the DLC quite a bit of a disappointment in my opinion. Like I said before, I went into the DLC with very little expectations on that storyline, but one thing I did hope for is a good amount of post-game content that we can do once we beat the main part of the Isle of Armor. And I'm disappointed once again. The main feature is the restricted sparring, and admittedly it's not something I've spent a ton of time doing, but you get to choose a specific type, you go in, you do some battles, you get some battle points, and then if you can do that with all the types, you get a t-shirt. Yep, that's what you get a t-shirt. So my incentive to do this is approximately 0, because as much as I like Mustard, I'm not gonna dress up like him, so it's pretty irrelevant to me. I was hoping the Towers of Two Fists would maybe have something cool about them, maybe another style of battle tower, maybe some sort of Frontier-esque battle mode. But no, we get restricted sparring. Again, not the worst thing in the world, but at least give me something worth playing for. I've already played Pokemon Sword and Shield for 7 months, which means I've accumulated a lot of battle points to doing ranked battles. And I know not everyone has, but for me, battling out for 3 to 5 battle points a battle is simply not worth my time, especially when I don't find the gameplay experience to be very engaging at all. Before the Isle of Armor came out, we were promised new tutor moves, and they did deliver on that. We have a new tutor move for every single one of our 18 types of Pokemon. I do think that's quite cool. However, some of those move tutor moves are awesome, and some of them are straight garbage. Now, I can't deny the fact that I am a bug-type Pokemon lover, and I am very salty about the fact that, well, it just so seems as the bug-type move is probably the worst of all the tutor moves. It's actually garbage. They could have done something super cool with it, like they did with some of the other moves, like Terrain Pulse, and Scorching Sands, and Grassy Glide, and Flip Turn. But no, they gave us Skitter Smack. So this is gonna make it into my video because I'm so dang salty about the fact that the bug types got the shaft once again. I'll also admit, when I heard about move tutor moves coming back, I was hopeful we would see some of our favorites come back, like wide distribution of moves like Defog, Knockoff, and even Toxic. I can understand why they took them out and left them out of the game, but it was something that I was expecting, as Pokemon in the past have always integrated new move tutors for Pokemon to get more competitive viability. Moves like Earth Power and Focus Blast have historically been added in later in the game to kind of widen the move pools of various Pokemon and kind of increase competitive viability. I like their approach this time though, I will admit it. I think it was really cool to add just a slew of new moves, but again, it would have been nice if every one of the moves was viable as opposed to just a handful of them. I'm okay with Pokemon adding these little fetch quests into the game. They did it with Zygarde back in Ultra Sun and Moon. You had to collect all the different Zygarde cells and the cubes and whatever else so you could ultimately get Zygarde. That was a pretty cool reward. You got this super powered up Zygarde when all was said and done. You got Zydoge as you're going through it, and it seemed as though the Isle of Armor was going to replicate that approach by giving us these Diglets to hunt for. There's like 150 Diglets you got to search out in the Isle of Armor, which isn't all that bad after all. It's actually quite fun to track them down. They're difficult to find because they've only got their 3 little hairs sticking up, but what's the reward for doing that? It's got to be something great, right? I must be able to get another Cubfu and maybe a legendary Pokemon aside from that. And what do I get? I get a Diglett. Yeah, that's exactly what you get. You get 150 of these bad boys and you get a Diglett. This is a real talk. This is real story here. You get a Diglett. I mean, seriously, they could have added something a little bit better than that for a reward. You're gonna go searching far and wide across the Isle of Armor to track down 150 of these little dudes, hidden in the grass, hidden in the bushes, hidden in the weeds, and I get a Diglett for that? Come on, man, really? Galarian Slowpoke was shown to us back in January, and it was a really cool event, probably one of the coolest things I've seen Pokemon do. They gave us Galarian Slowpoke, they did it through the station, right as part of the announcement for the DLC. We knew we were gonna get Galarian Slowbro for the Isle of Armor, we knew we were gonna get Galarian Slowking for the Crown Tundra, and we knew we were getting legendary birds with Galarian forms for the Crown Tundra as well. As some other Pokemon too, Regieleki, Regidraco, and I'm going into the Isle of Armor thinking, man, how many new Galarian forms are we gonna get? Are we gonna get that Galarian Dustox from Clara's Bow? Are we gonna get a Galarian whatever, Luxray, whatever you wanna guess? Are we gonna get a new Galarian Pokemon to add to Slowbro? It's such an easy fix. They can add new Galarian forms. They can even add new Pokemon altogether. Maybe we'll get a new evolution. And what did we get? Nothing. We got nothing. Everything that we got was already previously shown to us in regards to the Galarian forms. There was no surprises, no secrets, no new Pokemon to explore. That is probably the biggest fail when it comes to the Isle of Armor, and one of the things that I was most disappointed about. I was blown away when Ultra Sun and Moon came out and they didn't add new Alolan forms. I was very disappointed. They threw a few new Ultra Beasts in there like Blacephalon, Stakataka, Poipole, and Naganadel, but I was thinking that when we got to the Isle of Armor, there most certainly had to be a handful of new Galarian forms that migrated off the coast and changed their forms, even if they were Pokemon that were part of the mainland of Galar. And again, we got nothing. I just don't understand how they can sit through a board meeting at Game Freak and say, hey, what are we thinking about new Galarian forms? Let's add Slowpoke. Let's add Slowbro. What else you got? Nothing. That's good. That's good. We don't need to add any more. Nah, we're gonna leave it at that. Really? That's what you're gonna leave it at? The easiest way to get Pokemon fans to be excited, in my opinion, is to add new Pokemon, add new forms. And what did they give us? Nothing, dude. The last thing I want to rant about in this video is the Max Mushrooms. Great feature, great execution. It's super cool that we have these Max Mushrooms, and I totally get why they held off to the Isle of Armor to give them to us. They wanted to give us a reason to actually do the Max Raid battle system, because otherwise I would have never hunted any Gigantamax Pokemon. So yeah, Max Mushrooms, cool feature, great idea, but terrible execution when it comes to actually gathering these things, because they're forcing me to do their stupid raid system that's hacked to no end to actually get these mushrooms to respawn. And guess what? I don't want to use my Wycom. I don't want to do raids anymore because I don't want to play with hacked Pokemon, dude. I want to play my game legit. Update your dang game, dude. Seriously, how have they let these hacked raids run rampant for so long and not patch them? I want to be able to get my Max Mushrooms legitimately. I want to be able to play the game legitimately, and yet Pokemon has not updated their raid system, and hacked raids are just running rampant. Now, I know I just spent the last 10-15 minutes ranting about Pokemon Sword and Shield Isle of Armor DLC. When all is said and done, I do think it's worth it because I think the Crown Tundra is going to expand a lot more on what the Isle of Armor provided. Do I think the Isle of Armor alone is worth $30? Definitely not. But from what I've seen from the leaks of the Crown Tundra, it seems as though it is going to be worth it when that $30 comes to fruition and you get both pieces of the DLC. But again, I am incredibly disappointed with the lack of new Galarian forms, lack of post-game content, and then the quests that they give us really just lack soul in general. It's really cool to see a lot of Pokemon make their return to the Galar region. I think that's really awesome. I know some people felt like they should have been integrated in the first place, but I'm okay with that approach, and I'm okay with the fact that I paid for this DLC in the first place. But that doesn't mean that I'm not disappointed when all is said and done, and that doesn't mean that I wish there was more in this DLC. These rant style videos are a way for me to blow off steam and give my thoughts and opinions about things that I think that you guys are probably thinking about and things that I'm thinking about. But again, please understand that I'm a huge Pokemon fan and I love the Pokemon franchise regardless. If you guys enjoyed this rant video, be sure to hit that like button down below, subscribe if you guys are new, and again, take this opportunity, blow off some steam in the comments section below. I'd love to see your thoughts and comments on this video and what you're thinking about the Isle of Armor DLC. I've got my fingers crossed for the Crown Tundra, especially based on all the leaks that we've seen so far. It seems as though it is going to be quite the gameplay experience. If you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you're going to love this one. It's a great video, but YouTube thinks that you're going to like this one. So pick one of the two videos and have yourself a great day. Peace.